welcome to the Movie Reception Show. I am Fariba, and today's the day. We are about to wrap up She-Hulk, and let's just say it has been quite a rough journey, as you've seen in some of my previous reaction videos, that this hasn't been the greatest TV show. I think not the greatest Disney Plus show that we've seen from Marvel, and I think it could honestly be one of my least favorites, just because it has been a really disjointed and not the most pragmatic way of trying to execute its story. There's been a lot of incohesiveness in terms of how they've been trying to essentially narrate Jennifer's story, and even though it's supposed to be a show about the legal process, we've seen times where the show has really just digressed from its actual premise and kind of lose its track a little bit to the point where it just became inconsistent. And I feel like a lot of people have, essentially agreed with this opinion that it's not the greatest show ever. It's definitely been a tough one to really watch. I will say, for one thing, the last episode was great, and I think again it just went back to kind of what the show was intended to be, which is about the legal process. And we really saw kind of the high stakes from last week that I really wish that the show could have been able to implement thoroughly throughout each of the episodes. And I think even before this, some of the more standout episodes would be like the first episode, the episode with Wong and Madison, and of course the one last week. But yeah, I mean, hopefully, maybe, as I mentioned before, even despite the frustration with the series and just kind of wishing that things could have gone more differently, hopefully this will be able to, end off in a good note, or at least somewhat in a positive note. But yeah, without further ado, let's complete the first season of She-Hulk.
Jennifer Walters, Esquire, lawyer,
my
searching
God.
for a way to balance a career and her personal life. Then an accidental dose of gamma-radiated blood alters her body chemistry.
This is like the 70s, that 90s 70s show.
When Jennifer Walters...
Okay.
The creature is driven by rage and pursued by online trolls. Her imprisoned, and now she is seen only for the raging spirit that dwells within her.
We left multiple messages. I managed to sound very calm considering I was calling the freaking Hulk.
Let's get down to brass tacks. Yes. One would respond in that situation.
That is
You're
true.
not just anyone. You are an out-of-control Hulk.
Oh, I love how supportive her family is. Oh, wow. I mean, this is how women are treated, so... Love the dad.
There isn't drought. I got water pressure for days.
Aw, she's a Legally Blonde poster. And Aaron Brockovich. Okay. See all the inspiration right there.
So that we can track them down, and then we will find them and we will destroy them. By any means.
Legally.
I said by any means.
No, I am going to sue them for defamation and invasion of privacy and get them charged with unauthorized access to a protected computer. Oh, we have work to do.
Oh.
When is this work going to be out of my living room?
As soon as I get justice for...
Jennifer Walters is a woman at a new low. She has no more
No,
fighting.
we're not doing a narrator. We're not that off the rails.
We say come anytime. This is a time.
Yeah, I'll be there. Huh? Are you still here? I need a favor.
So it's just sexist and misogynistic, guys.
You have to, alright? I need you to blend in with these trolls, okay? And remember to always refer to women as females. Jen's life is on the line, okay? So I need you to get your head in the game, buddy. Off you go. Thank you.
All these misogynistic pricks.
Females, am I right? Mother of
Ah, this guy. Okay.
Todd Phelps?
Is She-Hulk better than the Hulk? Is she as
as strong as him? Is she as smart as him? No! She wouldn't even have her powers without him, right? So why do we have to act like she earned? I created intelligentsia. I'm Hulk King.
Oh my god. Oh, come on. It's okay. He can. The gigantic
Wait, I
rock.
wish they would have gone with the comics with this.
One light circle up, let's get
Probably red.
Cut Mr. Chicken Blood. The abomination!
I figured. Okay, now we're talking with the intelligentsia.
It's really an honor to be your humble
See,
life
we
coach
always
for the
knew.
evening.
He was always fishy.
I hear your group has all been making.
Emil?
Jen Walters!
Todd, what are you doing here? Actually, I don't care. Emil.
Safely give me all the powers you never should have been given in the first place.
Oh, this is kind of giving me like lots of.
I didn't just get handed superpowers. I
Doing this.
This guy's gonna die.
This can't possibly be where this season was going. Surprise, losers.
Oh, look, it's titanium.
Titania too? This isn't messy enough? God, is that
Really
right?
nice.
The door.
Jen, look out!
call my cousin, asshole.
It's not what you think. Is this necessary?
Why does even none of these storylines make any sense? Is this working for you? Hey, what are you
The
doing?
fuck?
You're not gonna stop me.
Oh,
Just gonna break this inhibitor real quick.
legit thought that something happened to my thing.
No.
What is going on? We just took a deep like turn with this. I'm so confused. Why? Are they really going in this direction?
Idea. Was that from every other superhero story ever?
Okay, there are certain things
This is
that
way
are supposed
too
to
meta.
happen in a superhero story.
Wait, too meta.
Why don't we just do things our own way?
This is the story that Kevin wants.
Okay, then I want to talk to Kevin. About him. It's not healthy. I'm going to go talk to Kevin now. Why'd you make me sign if you were just going to do that?
Everyone has to sign the NDA.
Hey.
Hello, Jennifer.
Kevin?
It stands for Knowledge Enhanced Visual Interconnectivity Nexus.
Of course.
Were you expect?
You're the one who's making all the decisions here?
I will answer your questions, but you
This
must
is
first
way too
transform
meta.
back to Jennifer.
Why?
Moved on to another project. There,
Ha.
do it now.
Ha! Yeah, we know what kind of one it was next.
Better?
Thank incorrect.
So was
It's
all
the
this on
EIN
purpose?
show.
Well, regardless of creative ownership, can we agree that it is the Marvel Cinematic Universe? It is known for its big spectacles and high-stakes plot lines, but it's often said that Marvel movies all end the same way.
Wait, who's saying that?
Perhaps this is a result of following some on She-Hulk. Those are my stakes, Kevin.
This is way too meta for me.
The EIN is processing this new data. What is
Oh, and Bruce swooping down from literal outer space to save the day in my story?
But Bruce is supposed to return to explain what he was
No,
doing once.
we don't need to hear any of that.
But we were going to introduce
Save it for the movie.
Ha.
the cow.
Oh, would not mind seeing Daredevil again. A woman has needs.
Historically, we've been light in that department.
Tony Stark, daddy issues.
Jen.
Thor, daddy issues. Loki, same daddy, same issues.
Oh boy.
Star-Lord, two daddies, two issues.
Jen, please stop.
Oh, when are we getting the X-Men?
I cannot tell you that.
Back to She-Hulk, walls and bad ending. And sometimes I burn out.
Okay, now get back to the show. See you on the big screen.
Murder. Now I'm ready to deal with you. This is amazing.
Just do it.
I'll see you in court, babe.
Look, I didn't.
Hey,
I'm here to help.
Hey,
that's just so
you
random,
know,
but hey.
is it? We're done. Sorry.
Everything? Oh, man.
It was great. All right, as your legal counsel, you understand that if you sign this, you go back to prison for 10 years for violating your parole.
Yep. Is the
Right. Okay.
It's not very glamorous, but it's where I grew up, and I always wanted to help the people in my neighborhood who can't afford legal services.
right?
Dad.
It's very expensive raising kids in LA.
He stayed for a week.
I did not think.
Oh, he's finally here after being missing.
Cousin, Bruce.
I know. I bet someone here
Oh, hey.
likes you all to meet.
You got a son, right? You got a
This
son.
is my son, Scar.
Yeah, we figured. We figured. We figured.
Well, I'm coming for you.
Do you mean in a courtroom or as a superhero?
Oh,
Now tell our viewers, who are you wearing to court today?
okay.
Wong.
You took time.
Romeo, my apologies for the delay.
You got sucked into another show, didn't you?
Really in an era of peak TV. You know all the things?
Yeah. What's the guest policy at Carpentage?
It's
Shared fridge?
kind of all one with everything then.
What about Wi-Fi?
Wi-Fi.
So that was the final episode of She-Hulk, and I don't really know what to say, really, aside from I'm kind of astonished in not the greatest way possible. How do I don't even know how the words to really say it. Just that there just hasn't been a lot of great payoff with regards to how the show has been running, and I get that the whole point of the character arc for Jennifer was for her to kind of find this balance between her attorney and her She-Hulk self and trying to find acceptance for that. But I felt like that whole development has been so flat just because the way that they at least tried to tell it, it just wasn't done so great, especially in terms of the pacing and just trying to execute the story. And I mean, at least with this episode, I was expecting, there will be some closure to what happened in the last episode. Maybe it will be a big bang, but I mean, I get the whole meta references, and I get why they went all meta in terms of just going behind the scenes and as if she was actually talking to Kevin Feige and all that sort of stuff. Because I think that that's also part of She-Hulk in general in terms of her comics, that this is how she operates. But I feel like that just went way too much on a deep end, just going oh, let's go, talk to Kevin Feige and just change everything, where it's okay, I get it, but I felt like now that just takes away everything, or not just takes away everything, but it just, in a story-wise purpose, it just made this kind of useless in a sense. And here's the thing, I actually felt in the beginning of this episode, I was really starting to kind of feel a lot of, Jennifer's pain and just kind of how upset she was. First off, I mean, one thing I did like is the way that they went all 70s style with the right after the intro, and I was oh, this is kind of basically the 1977 kind of vibes that we're getting from the original, or not the original, but the Incredible Hulk series from the 70s. And I was okay, this is an interesting thing. Where does it go? And it doesn't really go anywhere. Or the fact that the whole point of this, the show itself is trying to give us a social commentary about the hardship that women goes through, and I feel That would have been such a great direction. I think there has been cases in this show where they've really tried to talk about it, especially like the first episode, where like women are perceived to always be angry and like are told are too emotional, and we see that kind of transpire here as well, and just and the whole act of like showing kind of this like prejudice and the double standard. Like I was like, okay, maybe we are running something with this just to kind of show an idea that well this is a huge issue. Maybe it was going to lead to something right there. And I felt like maybe for once, this finale did have some potential going on. And then we just went to a whole like hubbub uh, with this whole meta situation that we've had. And I was like, and I get that there was like that one instance where it's like, okay, it just felt a bit too much as if it was like a man writing the story, and you can just tell like, okay, like it's not coming from a female's perspective, and that was the whole point of it. But I don't dig it. I really don't dig that sort of style. I get that this is like I get that they tried to make that like a whole comedic style of it, trying to make it more humorous, but I felt like it just didn't land. I feel like that made it even more disjointed and even more dissatisfying than just like actually having like a story where Jennifer is making up like she's the one solving her own problems herself, instead of just having to go kind of this whole cheating way of just like, oh, let's have a meta episode and just talk to Kevin Feige, or like a metaphor of Kevin Feige, which is like an AI, and just kind of like try to try to you know finish up the whole series without having to go through a whole bunch of like steps. And this is what I was saying before in the last episode, that after the way that it ended from the last episode, I just felt like there wasn't enough time to kind of wrap up everything from what happened in that bombshell to now. And you can see that they tried to wrap it up so quickly that they just went out with this like way of like a meta to kind of just like erase everything and just like hope that that'll be the way to go. And I'm like, okay, not my style, not the way I would have wanted to be. Again, I feel like there were key elements. Like I think so. Before I go into general things, I would also kind of want to talk about a little bit more of this episode. Like again, we see Daredevil come back again, but I felt like again that didn't really do much. Like the last episode, at least it had a purpose. It served a purpose, which was that it was an episode where they were playing with the whole legal basis of everything, and I feel like that worked so well for that episode. Here you can clearly tell it's kind of a gimmick again, like the way that we saw Matt in Spider-Man No Way Home. That was a whole gimmick. This one was also kind of a gimmick in a sense, although I do have a lot of questions, so I'll go into more question stuff at the end of like just kind of my questions about what has happened at least. But in a general sense, this show had potential. I think there were elements that could have worked. Like the first episode was very good because I think it really set the idea of who She-Hulk is, who Jennifer is, and kind of giving us this origin story. And then we did have a couple of like some good moments. Like again, I liked the episode where we had Wong and Madison and kind of having this whole legal setting that we had, and just kind of seeing She-Hulk in action kind of for the first time. And of course, again, the last episode was probably its peak because of the way that we kind of see She-Hulk in a different light. Even with the fact that there was Daredevil, this was a show that was kind of really kind of giving us like what it was kind of marketing, which is this is a legal comedy, this is what we're going to show you. And that was like the one instance that we really got that. But aside from that, like again, as I mentioned before, this show has just been so incohesive, inconsistent, especially because like a lot of it just really digressed a lot, where they had the wedding episode, and then just kind of the therapy session, and just kind of like okay, but and then even in the sense that they had these elements like Intelligentsia, the Abomination, Bruce going missing, right? I just felt like there wasn't really a great way of just leading it all back to kind of this final episode. Again, the way that they did it, it just kind of felt, I don't know why I feel like cheating is a word to say it, but it just felt like rushed. Didn't really kind of lead to anything, didn't have the best payoff for it. I wonder what, and again, if you know the comics, like Intelligentsia is a whole different thing with the leader, but I feel like with Abomination there was something going on right there. But again, it was definitely kind of a disappointment in a sense that I had so much expectation for it, that not only was I expecting the comedy, but I was really hoping that there was going to be a cohesive story where we kind of see Jennifer's journey, and we sort of did, but I just felt like it wasn't executed in a proper way that a lot of us would have been able to enjoy. Like, we didn't get that much of the legal aspects of it. Like, there were times that we should have seen her doing legal aspects and she wasn't, or the fact that we're somehow looking at other characters as like the star of the show when the show is literally called She-Hulk. I feel like, and again, I think the one thing that, again, Titania, like, there was really no payoff for that. Like, Titania, we saw in the previews or whatnot that she was supposed the villain, only to see that she was just kind of there, but didn't really serve much of a purpose aside from just being a foil here and there, but like nothing too big. Like, again, the stakes weren't as high as I would have expected. I wish that things could have been a lot more, different. I mean, in a sense, from just this episode, it kind of sounds as if they had done this on purpose to kind of like show that, like, this is what happens when a man makes a decision. So I don't know if this was done on purpose to kind of have this all disjointedness, to have this all like horrible, structuring of like how the story went on. If that was the case, I guess they've accomplished it, but have they done it in a sense where fans would enjoy, like someone like me who would enjoy it? No. Something I mean, this is like, I mean, I've been through so many Disney Plus shows where it's like, okay, I wasn't as satisfied, but like I didn't feel as horrible about it by the time they got to the finale. This is kind of where I feel like I'm the most frustrated. I've never felt this frustrated or just so down with like a whole series, just the way they executed it, and it's just kind of like, this is kind of a new low that I'm at in terms of just the Disney Plus series. Because again, nothing has been able to beat WandaVision at all. I feel like Miss Marvel is probably the second best thing I've seen, maybe, or second or third at least. I'm not exactly sure, but WandaVision is definitely a league of its own, and I feel like nothing has really reached that momentum since. And now here we are with She-Hulk with so much expectations, right? Like, they had a lot of things, a lot of great things going on, the social commentary, kind of the legal aspects, the humor, and everything like that, and it just didn't work out well in the end. And that's just my overall view of the show. In terms of like the biggest questions, I mean, I guess there are questions about what this, like we saw with the whole Daredevil situation where, he is still in LA. We don't know what's going to happen. Looks like he is now in a relationship with Jennifer. So I wonder what that's going to lead up to, because we do know that we're going to have a Daredevil series coming out in about 2 years from now. That is if they don't move that as well. So that's kind of an if right now. But I have a lot of questions about that. Like, what does that mean in terms of his show itself? Does that mean we're gonna expect the She-Hulk to also appear in that show from the looks of it? Like, maybe. And then of course we just got this whole unexpected bombshell that, well, not really a bombshell, but a bombshell. But like, of course, the Hulk has a son. We kind of all expected that it was going to be Scar. I wonder where that's going to go. I do have one question with the fact that, at least in that whole meta sequence, there was a lot of revelations going on. Of course, one thing they were kind of alluding to, Wakanda Forever being the next project, which will be the next thing that's coming out, and will conclude Phase 4, which is coming on November 11th. And then, of course, they kind of implied about a possible Hulk movie, so I wonder if they kind of tease that purposefully, or if that was just kind of trying to play around with like fans. But yeah, that's all I can really say. I'm just not really a big fan of the show. I mean, I've been disappointed, and I wish things could have gone differently, but it's okay. But yeah, let me know what you think. Did you enjoy it a lot better than I did? Maybe you're also kind of frustrated as I was with this whole series, and may have really just gone to a whole low with like the finale. Maybe you like the finale. Maybe you like the meta references. Or did you not like it as much as I didn't like it and wish that things would have gone differently? Do you have questions about what the finale has implied about the future of the MCU? What about the Hulk? I mean, the Hulk was kind of the huge thing, or the Daredevil. And what do you think this means for the future of MCU in general? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe.